Welcome back, Matthew. Welcome back, everybody. This is the final leg of our walk round the perimeter of High Ash Farm. We're just about to leave the lettuce wood, and just look in front, one of the delights, a prickly holly, about 5 feet tall. And just in the background there, a lovely English yew, just coming away underneath the hornbeam and the field maple just there. Right, cross High Ash Farm Lane here, tiny little single track road, there it is, stretching away up the hill. We're going along the base of another one of the valleys, and we now go through the walks, rat, good boy, through the proper gate, old wooden gates here with lots of tacks in to say High Ash Farm. Little car going past us, shut the gate behind us, and here we are. This is an old Roman road which takes us straight back to the Roman town of Venta Icenorum. It's absolutely almost shotgun straight, barrel straight this, as the Romans built their roads. This one was never tarmacked, and it's right down the base of a valley with a stream on one side and some lovely old hedges on the left, and on our right was a huge row of English elms. They were up there 70 or 80 feet. Now, this is a little bit of Radio Norfolk's history here. Look at these. This is Sequoia Gigantica. Massive trees, absolutely colossal. And on Wednesday, the 13th of March, 1991, with a budding BBC Radio Norfolk reporter called Ian Barmer, I planted these on air. Can't believe it. I was about 40 years old. So what are they, 32 years ago, something like that. And there was a seed import that came into this country, and a local nurseryman called a Mr. Doubleday, who had his little nursery at Surlingham, just on the eastern side of Norwich, grew on the seed and grew little saplings 5 and 6 feet high, seed from the largest tree in the world and the tallest tree in the world. They're two separate species, both called redwoods. And here we've got Sequoia Gigantica, also known as Wellingtonia, growing here, and a few steps on, Sequoia sempivirens. Now, Sequoia sempivirens over in the northwest of the United States can grow up to around about 100 metres. That's over 300 feet tall, which is astonishing. In the UK, the Victorians got really excited about anything unusual when these trees were discovered in the United States in the mid-1800s. Seeds and small plants were brought over because the biggest or the most exciting of everything greatly excited Victorian growers, and many were planted. The oldest ones I know of are in Norfolk are at Linford Arboretum, and I took my children there and we all held hands around the trunk. There was 5 of us, and we couldn't join up around the base of one of the trunks to tell you how big it is. These are just over 30 years old, and I'm just going to look in closely at the trunk, and you can tell sequoias because if you punch the trunk really hard, here it is coming up. It's got that red colour on the bark. The branch is still intact lower down on the trunk, and it stretches up almost out of sight. So they're 60-70 feet tall already. Got to wheedle Rat out of there. Come on, Ratty, good boy. And the same with the Sequoia sempivirens. The needle shapes are slightly different on both the trees. But there we are, a little bit of Radio Norfolk history, and it shows you how you can change the landscape in 30 years by tree planting. Although this is frowned upon a little bit now. I used to get excited about new trees that I discovered, and really, as they're non-native trees, I'd have perhaps been more appropriate to put a row of oaks out on the farm. But as we have over 1,500 individual oak trees, it's sometimes nice when you're young to exercise that Norfolk motto called doing different. So here we are, walking down the track. So I mentioned two species of redwood, Sequoia Gigantica and Sequoia sempervirens, and I was given by Mr. Doubleday a third species, and it's a deciduous redwood, and here it is, just coming up. It's called dawn redwood. There it is, and it looks as though it's dead at this time of the year. There's no leaves on it whatsoever, but it is alive and it's doing really well. It's got a continuous supply of water right beside it. And the redwoods, I'm just looking back at the little avenue there, they're the most wind-fast trees in the world. They grow quite close to the Pacific Ocean and have those winds coming in directly off the ocean, moisture-laden winds, but they can be howling winds, which you wouldn't think a very large tree could withstand. Nevertheless, they stand there really firmly. Some of them are over 1,000 years old. Many were felled until some of the areas where they grow there were preserved, realising how important they were. But a dance floor was made out over there in the States, out of the trunk cross-section of one of the giant sequoias, and I think it was over 30 feet diameter. It gives you an idea the size of it. Some horses coming down towards me, lots of birds flying about, and we're heading on the very last section of our walk, and in a few minutes time we'll meet where we left the Roman town and headed off through High Ash Farm, and so we'll have circumnavigated the entire farm. Horses there looking very peaceful, coming towards us, and here we are. We're going to pop into one of the edges of the fields here and just see some of the wildlife. Here we are. We're going to cross over and just go there. Lovely hazel, still shedding its catkins, pollen on the tree, and a lovely old oak tree in front of us. Morning, hello. There we are. And this is Overwinter Wild Bird Seed Mix. Lovely hedge on my right hand side. That's what you call a proper hedge. You'd need a ladder and a pair of shears to get up the top there. It's hawthorn and blackthorn mixed. It's been trimmed last year, but not this year, just to keep it nice and dense. And if it gets any taller, it could actually fall over. Oh, this is glorious. The sun's just come out to finish our walk. In front of me, Overwinter Wild Bird Seed Mix. Still lots of food there, and out in the middle, small flock of jackdaws. And yesterday I had a special visit from Emily Swan from Natural England. She's the greener farming and fisheries lead advisor for the Eastern Counties, and she brought a guest who'd come all the way over from Wales to visit what he'd heard about, which are the yellowhammers at High Ash Farm. And they walked round the edge of a field, sat in the yellowhammer hide with their mouths wide open, with reed buntings and male yellowhammers in their glorious yellow plumage, and they walked round the edge of the field where the hide is and saw around 50 yellowhammers out foraging, and buzzard in the distance. You can see the upswept wings way over in the distance there. So that was a real treat to take them around, show them where the hide was, to pop them in there and forget about them for an hour, and then come back and seeing some huge smiles. And that makes farming and wildlife so worthwhile, and it's a way of saying thank you to the team over there at Dragonfly House, where we sort of initiated the stewardship scheme for higher level stewardship at High Ash Farm. Sadly it expired in 2016, and we've got odd bits of replacement, but most of the scheme prescriptions have died out, and we kept the permissive walks going. It seemed a shame to plough all those back up and go back into arable farming, which I didn't want to do. So farming for wildlife and it's been more rewarding than I can possibly say. And taking you round the perimeter High Ash farm and sharing some of the delights has been a real privilege. So thank you for joining us, myself and Rat. There he is in the sunshine, turning round. So why have we stopped? Well, Ratty, we've reached the end. No, don't, not that sort of end. We've reached the end of the walk here, and I can see in the sunshine, way in the distance, the very square tower of Caister St Edmund Parish Church, in amongst the Scots pine there to the left and the right. It's about 3/4 of a mile left to go, and we have done close to 7 miles of walking, and there's another 2 miles just for the sponsors who help keep the walks open at the farm. They're extra walks as well. So it's been a delight, it's been a pleasure. I've seen a lot, and I hope you've learnt something too. Thank you for joining us.